What is going on, everybody? Tyler Brandt back here with another video. Happy to be back. Happy to be talking to you about Patriots football. It's been a hiatus that's gone on way too long, but without any further ado, I'm back. I figured what better time to talk about Patriots football than the start of training camp, which officially starts today. So without any further ado, let's break down some of the storylines. I've got my 5 biggest storylines headed into Patriots camp this season. We'll break some of these down during the week as time goes on, but I am back. I am here with you. Let's get into Patriots football. Training camp 2021 is officially underway. Number 5 on our list of storylines headed into Pats camp 2021 for me is which pass catcher will emerge, who will really steal the show at training camp. Now, I know I've been kind of out of the limelight here, but the Patriots have done quite a bit this offseason. They've really taken advantage of the COVID offseason with teams not spending very much. They went out and they went and completely overhauled the offense. They signed Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Nelson Agholor, Kendrick Bourne, Marvin Hall. I mean, the list goes on and on. That's not everybody. Those are pretty much the biggest names. So breaking that down just a little bit, I'm very curious to see on the wide receiver side which person breaks out, whether it be Nelson Agholor, Kendrick Bourne, Marvin Hall. I mean, I think all 3 of them are good. All 3 of them have a lot of pop. I just don't know if any of them in particular can be a true number 1 receiver. Now, I know the Patriots really haven't had that in a while, but without Jules there as their official number 1 best guy, most reliable guy, one of these kids are going to have to step up, and one of these guys are really going to have to emerge coming out of camp as the guy, whether it be for Mac Jones or for Cam Newton. I think they all have the potential to do so, but one of them has got to take the reins and be the guy headed into the regular season. On the tight end side of things, Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry join a tight end room that I think is already pretty intriguing. I myself am a big fan of Devin Asiasi and Dalton Keene, specifically Dalton Keene. If you watch some of my videos from last offseason, you would have seen that I'm kind of a fan of him. I'm intrigued to see what he is in this offense. But now you add 2 tight ends in this offseason that really make this group now, I think, one of the more elite groups in the NFL. Jonnu Smith is just, from a pure athletic standpoint, an absolute stud. I think beyond just being a tight end, I think he'll be one of these guys that have a very intriguing role, maybe lining up in kind of an H-back position as a fullback. Who knows? Maybe we'll see him like Aaron Hernandez used to be a wide receiver. We'll see. I think he's got the body type and the composition to really do a lot of interesting things for this offense. And then on the other side, Hunter Henry as just a traditional tight end. They're both excellent. Hunter Henry as a traditional tight end is fine. I mean, he's fantastic. He should be very good. He is one of the top tier, top caliber guys in the NFL. So I think you add these 2 into this room of wide receivers, there's a ton of intrigue. There's a ton of questions about who's going to emerge as the guy on both the tight end side and the wide receiver side. And that is my number 5 storyline going into camp. Number 4, we're going to get a little bit more specific here, and I'm very intrigued to see what Kyle Dugger does and how he looks in training camp going into year 2. Now, Dugger had one of the more intriguing rookie seasons as a Patriot, at least in my opinion. He really put some good stuff on tape. He used that athletic size that he has that really towers over a lot of NFL guys, especially wide receivers. He really used it to his advantage in a lot of games. 1 or 2 games in my mind that stick out is Baltimore, the 8 tackle 4 assist game, the game where they really just blew out the Ravens, and then the Jets in Week 17. He had a good game. He really, again, put a lot of good stuff out there, especially as a pass rusher and as a tackler. On the other side of things, he was really shaky in pass coverage. Now, I know that the secondary, while it was good, without Pat Chung there, was a little bit limited, and he really had a lot on his plate for a rookie. So I do think coming into this season, this secondary is loaded again. I mean, Jalen Mills just came over from free agency. I mean, we're going to have J.C. Jackson in there. Stephen Gilmore should play this season unless something happens where he's traded, and this season is just a complete mess. But with all that being said, he should be part of a loaded secondary where he won't have to be as responsible at such a young age, and to really be able to be that hybrid pass rusher, kind of linebacker, safety that I think that he can be, especially given his size. So I'm interested to see his role in this defense in year 2 and to see, what advancements and what improvements he's made to his own game going into year 2. Next up, number 3 on the list, pretty straightforward, pretty simple one here. It's the returning veterans, and there's really 2 on my mind that I cannot wait to have back at Pats camp. And that, of course, is Donta Hightower. He is just a Patriot blue blood. He bleeds Patriot blue, and he's really the embodiment of everything it is to be a New England Patriot. He's a leader on the defense. He's a captain on and off the field and in the community. Can't wait to get him back. And, of course, Brandon Bolden, who I don't think gets enough love. Brandon Bolden, an elite special teamer. There's 3 phases to the game. You got to win special teams to win games. The Patriots do that more than anybody else. So they're also getting elite special teamer Brandon Bolden back. And I'm excited to see the impact he has on special teams with Justin Bethel and Matthew Slater. And again, Donta Hightower, just a Patriot blue blood, returning vets coming back for training camp and for the 2021 season. Number 2, as we head down the list, is the Stephon Gilmore contract situation. I think number 1 and 2 are pretty predictable. Number 2, of course, this one is the most important, at least on the defensive side of the ball. Gilly's been looking for a new deal. He's got 1 year left on his deal that he signed. I think it was a 5-year deal that he signed with New England. 5 years, $65 million. He's got 1 year, $7 million left. He's not being paid like the top-end defensive back that he is, and he does deserve a new deal. He does deserve an extension, and he does deserve a lot of money, especially at the rate that defensive backs are getting paid right now in the NFL. Now, as far as anything that's been reported, it doesn't appear that the two sides are close. I would hope that during training camp, with everybody being back together, he will be at training camp and will participate, that, a deal gets worked out at some point. I know earlier this week, Bill Belichick said that he's not going to speak publicly on any contract negotiations. Shocker there. But number 2 on the list, I would love to see Gilmore get a new deal, and I would love to see how this hopefully works closer and closer together to get this man a new contract. And finally, last but not least, who would have thought? Spoiler alert, it's exactly what you thought. The number 1 storyline, at least that I have going into Pats Camp 2021 this week, is, of course, the quarterback battle. Who is going to be the guy in 2021 for the New England Patriots? Who is going to lead this team? While I think both quarterbacks can play, and I think that there is a role for both quarterbacks in this offense, there could only be one number 1 at the top of the depth chart. Is it going to be the Alabama rookie drafted 15th overall by New England, Mr. Mac Jones? Or is it going to be Cameron Newton, the Auburn quarterback, that is trying to revive and get his career back on track here with the New England Patriots? I think that is going to be the headlining story throughout this entire week of training camp. And I think it'll be one of the most, if not obviously the most intriguing storyline headed into camp. Year 2 of Cam Newton, reports say that he's got more of a firm grasp than ever before on the Patriots playbook of what they're trying to do offensively. And it's also come out that he's now the healthiest he's been in years. He had an interview on TV where he said after the Chargers injury in the game against the Chargers, he hurt his shoulder. He hasn't been the same since. So that is promising. I am intrigued to see what he can do physically, especially, again, something that I've hammered him for as a thrower of the ball. I'm intrigued to see what he can do. Just to give you a little bit of an update, last season, he completed 65% of his passes, 20 total touchdowns, only 8 of them were passing touchdowns through 10 picks. Couldn't get to even 2,700 yards. He had 2,657, and he had a 47.0 QBR. It wasn't great. He did show a lot of good stuff, especially as a runner, and towards the end of last season, the wheels started to come off for him and the whole Patriots offense. It's not all him, but the wheels really started to come off for that Patriot offense at the end of the year. So on one side, we've got Cam Newton, year 2 of Cam, the healthiest he's ever been, and the most confident maybe he's ever been going into a season. On the other side of things, we have the rookie Alabama quarterback, Mac Jones, in year 1 in the NFL, and he's had mostly glowing reviews headed into training camp this year. Physically, he's got all the tools to run this offense, especially if it's going to be a lot of heavy 2 tight end sets. He may not have to work the ball downfield at such an alarming rate. And he's got everything it takes to fit schematically. And now at this point, it's learning the playbook and getting comfortable with NFL speeds and an NFL offense, which I think we'll really get to see finally firsthand what he looks like when he's competing at NFL speeds with real NFL defenders. Now, statistically, just to read off some of his stats from college, he was almost like a statistical anomaly. A season that almost rivals Joe Burrow from a couple years ago. He had 4,500 yards and completed 77% of his passes, 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Now, you also have to take into account that he was probably on the best offense in college football last year by a large, large margin. So you can't expect that kind of numbers, those kind of numbers headed into the NFL season. But he did put a lot of excellent stuff on tape in college. And he's got, again, the physical tools. Now it's just getting his mind right and being able to do everything an NFL quarterback has to do. And let's see if he's ready to do that in day one, on day one. And of course, as the week goes on, I would love to talk a little bit more about the Gilmore contract, a little bit more maybe behind the numbers of Cam Newton and Mac Jones. But this is just the starter video, jumping back into Patriots content. Again, I apologize for the long hiatus, but those are my storylines headed into Pats camp. I'll be watching very closely this week, and I'm very excited to see everything that we learn coming out of camp and as we go towards the preseason and the regular season. Once again, happy to be talking to you. I'm Tyler Brandt, back with some fresh content. Follow me on Twitter at the Tyler Brandt. Follow me on Instagram at Talking Pats. I know people keep following me on there. I promise I'm going to be more active on there as we jump back in. One last time, you know who I am. Give me a follow. Hit me up on social media. I'm Tyler Brandt. Catch you next time.